Good morning, everyone. We are on tape, so we need to now be careful what we say. Good morning. It is Yud Gimel Amabez, a beautiful day in sunny Toronto. Here we go.
It's 90 degrees.
So, what did we get up to yesterday? We got up to the top. So we said that this brisa can either be Rabbi Yehuda or it could be not Rabbi Yehuda. But either way, one learns that what comes out is that according to, again, just a chazak from yesterday, according to Rabbi Yehuda, so the par of the Kohen Gadol will be mechaper for Mikdash and Kacha for the Kohanim, and the Sar Hafnim will be mechaper for Mikdash and Kacha of Yisrael, and both the Kohanim and the Yisrael will be mechaper for other Averos with the Sar HaMishtalayach, as opposed to Rabbi Shimon, who agrees that other Averos for the Bnei Jewish people, Bnei Yisrael, will be the Sar HaMishtalayach. But he argues and says that the Kohanim are mechaper not only for Mikdash and Kacha with the power of the Kohen Gadol, but also are mechaper for all of their other Averos with the power of the Kohen Gadol. And again, the Jewish people will be mechaper with, he agrees, the Sar of Yom Kippur for all of their other Averos. So where do we get up to? We got up to Umay. Oh, right on top. So, on the bottom, we said, Abayim arfilu tem Rabbi Yehuda hachi kamer me'ate lem kapar betumas mikdash v'kachav k'shor me'chaper lakoni matzinu sheishan kapar b'shar veiros chumod matzinu sheishan kapar b'shar veiros kach sheishan kapar betumas mikdash v'kachav. That's what we got up to. So reading back into the brisa over here, again, originally we suggested that the brisa was not Rabbi Yehuda, because the way that we read the brisa, if you go back, was a shachar etzirach atas asher la'am shein hakonim mischaper bo. So you clearly have the inner he-goat, where only the am is going to be mechaper. Uvamem is kaprin. So then how are the kohanim going to be mechaper? Seemingly for mikdash v'kachav, b'para shel Aaron. The Gemara says, b'para shel Aaron. Yachol lo yiskapu b'para shel Aaron. You might think that the nam mechaper b'para shel Aaron sharei kfar namar asher lo me'ata ein lehen kapara. Those are the four key words. Me'ata ein lehen kapara. So originally we understood that it's not like Rabbi Yehuda, because me'ata ein lehen kapara implies what? That if you go ahead and you don't let them be mechaper with the power of the Kohen Gadol, then they will have no kapara at all. Whose opinion is that? That's Rabbi Shimon. Because if he holds that you're putting all of your eggs into one basket, and the only way to get kapara, both for regular Averos and for Mikdash V'Kacha for the Kohanim, is through the power of the Kohen Gadol. If you say that Asher Lo, it's only for Aaron and not for anybody else, then they're not going to have any kapara cloud. That was the first way of learning. Comes along Abaye, and Abaye says, no, you could even learn like Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that what? Who holds that the Kohanim will only get kapara for the Mikdash V'Kacha from the par, but they'll actually get kapara from the Sar Mishaleh for everything else. So those four words, me'ata ein lehen kapara, what do they mean? As the Gemara here says, me'ata ein lehen kapara al mikdash v'kachav. If you don't let them use the power of the Kohen Gadol, they won't have a kapara for the mikdash and kachav. They'll still have kapara for all of their other averos, because of what? Because the Sar Mishaleach will give them kapara for all of the other averos. So how do you know, again, that the Sar Mishaleach, how do you know that they should get kapara for Mikdash V'Kachav? Why are we, again, if at this point we're assuming that Asher Lo, so why are we forcing the issue and saying, well, they must get kapara for Mikdash V'Kachav? So that's where the Gemara ended and says, Uchemo dematzinu, it's by Svara. Once you're telling me that the Sar Mishtaleach will be mechaper for all of the other Averos, so now, kachish and kapara betumas mikdash v'kachav. Now it makes sense that they're going to go ahead with again, since it's hushva, all of the kaparas, now it makes sense that they're going to have kapara for tumas mikdash and kachav. And now we ask, b'mehe mitzchaprin. How are they going to get for the mikdash v'kachav? Mutash yischapru parshal Aaron sharei hutar miklalo eitzal beisav v'yischapru v'tzara nasim b'fnim sharei lo hutar miklalo. As we said yesterday, it's better if you have a choice between giving them kapara from the pasuk where it says Asher La'am, or the pasuk that says Asher Lo. We're going to go with Asher Lo, because Asher Lo then clarifies and says it's not really Asher Lo. It's V'cheper bado v'yad beiso. Once we're saying Asher Lo is greater than Asher Lo, it's not just for the Kohen Gadol, it's for his beiso as well. Now we'll say, well, we'll just extend it a little bit more and say, well, it'll be for all the Kohanim as well. Says the Gemara, V'im nafshach lomer, reyu omer beis aron b'chorz Hashem. So the Gemara says, Umay im nafshach lomer. What does the Gemara seem? So we explained that yesterday as saying, well, if you don't like that answer, that you're including them in Asher Lo, then you can go ahead and you can say, I have another answer that is Beis Aaron. The Gemara says it's really one answer. What's the argument? The argument is that, what did we say? We're going to include the Kohanim. We're going to include the Kohanim in the power of Aaron HaKohen, because it says Asher Lo, And then when it says Asher Lo, it's clearly not just him, because afterwards it says V'chiper ba'ado v'ad beiso. That includes his bias as well. V'chi tema beiso ksiv. So the Gemara is saying that it's not another answer. And if you're going to say to me, well, it says his house, which clearly means only his house and not all of the Kohanim, kulan kruyin beiso shenemar beis Aaron b'churetz Hashem yirei Hashem b'churetz Hashem. All of the Kohanim are included in the beis Aaron, because it clearly says beis Aaron, which are all the Kohanim. So it comes out again that Asher Lo, they're going to be included in all of the things. So Asher Lo, they'll be included according to Rabbi Shimon. They'll be included across the board for the kapara of Shara Veros and for Mikdash Rekachav, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, it will be included in the power of the Kohen Gadol only for Mikdash Rekachav, and the Shara Veros will be mechaper from the Sar HaMishtaleach. That's the Gemara until now. Zok the Gemara. V'hai la'am, v'hai asher la'am lahachi hudasa. We went through this whole thing, and we wanted to suggest that la'am cannot be including the Kohen, cannot be included the Kohanim, because asher la'am, it says that the pnimi is dafka for the am. The Gemara says not so pashut. Why can't it be including the Kohanim? You can only say that it's not including the Kohanim if Asher La'am teaches me that this par needs to be specifically, or this Sar needs to be specifically for the Am. But that's not what Asher La'am teaches me. That Asher La'am doesn't teach me that it's only going to give kapara for the Am, this Sire. It's teaching me that the Sar Apnimi needs to come from the Am, from the money of the Am. It has to be a korban sibur from the money of the am, but it doesn't teach me that it has to come to be mechaper dafka for the am. And if you don't have that lima that has to be mechaper dafka for the am, then you can learn that it can be mechaper for the kohanim as well. So as a Gemara, umei sadas b'nei Yisrael nafka. No, from the beginning of the pasuk, umei sadas b'nei Yisrael, from the Jewish people, you're going to take this par or this sar. That tells us that the sar needs to come from the money of the Jewish people. Then it says Ala'am, when it says Asher La'am, that tells us that this Sawyer Apnimi will only work for the Jewish people and not for the Kohanim. Zok the Gemara. And again, everybody agrees to that, because everybody agrees that this Sawyer is only working for the Yisraelim. Zok frak, okay. Zok the Gemara. V'hai asher lo lahachi hu da'asa. So now the Gemara says, well, you wanted to tell me that asher lo is dafka for Aaron, and therefore in the Havamim it's going to exclude all of the other Kohanim. Is that possible? Hamibayle, we know, if you open up a Chumash, it says the word asher lo 3 times. It tells us that this par is the par of Aaron. It tells us that 3 times. So this Asher Lo is being used. So if you tell me that all 3 of them are being used for something else, then you can't tell me that it's teaching me that the par is dafka for Aaron and not for the Kohanim. Again, in the Maskana, we say Asher Lo includes all the Kohanim anyway, but in the Havamina, we want to say that Asher Lo excludes all of the Kohanim dafka for Aaron. But how can you learn that? You see Asher Lo is used for something else. L'chidetanya, as it says, Mishalahu mevi ve'eno mevi mishal tzibor. So the first Asher Lo teaches us that he needs to bring his own personal korban. The par of the Kohen Gadol does not come from public funds. Yachol lo yavi mishal tzibor she'en hatzibor mechaper bo, aval yavi mishal achiv hakohanim she'achiv hakohanim mischaper bo. Talmud lo Asher Lo. The second Asher Lo teaches us that it comes from his personal funds to the exclusion of the Kohanim. It means the first Asher Lo says it comes from his personal funds to the exclusion of the Jewish people. The second Asher Lo comes to say it comes to the exclusion of the Kohanim, because if you only had one Asher Lo, you would say, well, you don't take it from the public funds, but the Kohanim have to chip in. Lo yavi, yachol lo yavi v'mhevi kasher. What's the third Asher Lo? You might think that even though he's not allowed to get it from the funds of the other Kohanim, b'di'evet, if he buys it from the funds of the Kohanim who are getting a kapara, at least according to everybody for Mikdash v'kachav, and according to Rabbi Shimon, for all of the Averos, you would say that b'di'evet it's okay. Talmud lo marshuv asher lo akasav shina lav la'akev. The Gemara, the Torah says that it repeats itself, asher lo, the 3rd time. Therefore, it has to come specifically from the funds of the Kohen Gadol. But what do you see here? You see that all asher los are taken to tell us that this par of the Kohen Gadol needs to come from funds of the Kohen Gadol. If that's true, then you don't have a word asher lo to tell us that it's dafka for the Kohen Gadol. Maybe the pasuk is teaching us the par comes from the Kohen Gadol, but it can include all of the Kohanim. So why does the Gemara in the Havamim assume that Asher Lo you can't include the Kohanim? Says the Gemara, Tana hachi kakashale. Maishna mid'am delo mechaper delo kachasri be mamona dechsev Asher La'am b'da'aro nami lo chasri be mamona v'kamar kulan kruyin beso. The kash of the Gemara, the reason that it wants to exclude it originally, is because just like we see that what? By the korban of the Am, it specifically comes from the money of the Am, and it could only be mechaper from people who contribute. And since we're taking it from all of the Jewish people, we can have it be mechaper for all the Jewish people. But the Gemara in the Kasha assumes that what? That if you're getting the par of the Kohen Gadol and specifically coming from his personal money, it could only be mechaper for what? It could only be mechaper for his personal averos. Comes along the Gemara, that's the Havamina, that was the Kasha. The answer is no. Asher lo, v'chiper bado v'yad beiso, beis Aaron baruch es Hashem, and therefore it can include, but that was the Havamina. The Havamina was that since he's paying for it personally, it should only be mechaper for him and not for the other Kohanim. Comes on the Gemara and says, no, it's two separate things. He needs to pay for it personally, but you see in the Pasuk, it still is mechaper for all of the Kohanim. Good? Zog the Gemara. New topic. Same topic, but new topic. Bishlam Rabbi Shimon. Now again, according to Rabbi Shimon, you have, for the 100th time, according to Rabbi Shimon, the thing is going to be mechaper, the par is going to be mechaper for all the averos of the Kohanim, including the mikdash v'kachav, as opposed to Rabbi Yehuda, that it's going to be mechaper only for the mikdash and kachav, and the sar mishaleach will do all the averos. So Bishlam Rabbi Shimon hainu d'chsiv trevi duyin v'dama par. By the par of the Kohen Gadol, it says 2 vidois, and it says that he has to take the dam and splash it. I believe it's talking about on the parochis here. So basically, the Gemara is assuming that there are 3 actions / 3 limudim that are being learned from the par of the Kohen Gadol. The 2 viduyim and the sprinkling of the blood. So what are the 3 things that you need the par for the Kohen Gadol? So Bishlam ala Rabbi Shimon hainu d'chsiv shtei viduyim v'dama par chad keneged sar hanasa b'fnim v'chad keneged sar hanasa b'chutz v'chad keneged sar mishaleach. Why are there 3 actions being done by the par of the Kohen Gadol? Because according to Rabbi Shimon, it's accomplishing 3 things. It's accomplishing mikdash v'kachav tuma of the Kohanim. It's being mechaper all of the averos of the Kohanim. And within Mikdash and Kachav, it's actually being mechaper another thing. What does that mean? That means you have one thing to be mechaper, to teach us that it's mechaper all of the averos of the Kohanim. Within Mikdash and Kachav, we actually know from our Mishnah, Beis and Aleph, that there's 2 different aspects of Mikdash and Kachav. Either it could be what? Either it could be the Sa'ir Bifnim, which is what? Which is awareness and then concealment. Or it could be for concealment and then awareness. Not going back and forth, Shtaim, Shein, Arba, Mikdash, Kodesh, we're not going there. But we're saying right now, this par of the Kohen Gadol is accomplishing 3 things for the Kohanim. It's accomplishing number 1, that it's going to give them a kapara for all of their averos. It's accomplishing number 2, that it's going to give them a kapara for cases where they had awareness in the beginning, and then concealment, and then awareness by what? By mikdash v'kachav. And it's going to give them kapara in a case where they had concealment in the beginning, and then awareness, is going to give concealment, and then concealment, and then awareness. It's going to give them the kapara for that. Which again, if you're following along at home on the chart, it's going to give them kapara for what the inner higot of Yom Kippur and the musaf higot of Yom Kippur gives them kapara for. That's what the Gemara says. Zok the Gemara, that's what the par of the Kohen Gadol will do for the Kohanim. As opposed to for the regular Jewish people, that'll be done by the inner higot, the sar pnimi / the musaf. So this chart over here will be not according within Rabbi Shimon, will not work for the Kohanim. That's why you have 3 things. Elo Rabbi Yehuda, what does the power of the Kohen Gadol accomplish? According to Rabbi Yehuda, the power of the Kohen Gadol is only mechaper for 2 things. It's mechaper for mikdash and kodesh of the Kohanim, which is awareness and then concealment and then awareness. But it's not mechaper for the 3rd thing of all their averos, because all of their averos are mechaper with the sar mishtaleach. So according to him, Rabbi Yehuda, trei viduin v'dama parlamali, bechad vidoy v'damo sagi, echad lo v'echad lebeso, kedetana de beber ishmal, kachi midas adino eges mutav yavo zakai v'chaper alachayav, val yavo chai v'chaper alachayav. So what's he saying here? Saying, why are there 2 vidois? We're assuming that there are 3 different aspects of this par, because there's 2 vidois where he confesses and 1 dam. He's saying now in the answer that since you only need 2 of 3 within Rabbi Yehuda, because this par is only being mechaper for tumas mikdash v'kacha for the Kohanim, which is 2 different things, awareness and then concealment and then awareness. Why are there 3 different aspects? The first 2 are really 1. The 2 vidois that he's doing are really 1. The purpose of the first vidoi for him is that he can't go ahead and ask vidoi on behalf of the Jewish people until he actually goes ahead and gets mechaper for himself. So the 2 vidois really count as 1. So him asking for forgiveness on behalf of himself and on behalf of the Jewish people, that's for 1 of the things. That accomplishes, let's just say for argument's sake, the concealment and then the awareness, the tumas mikdash for Kohanim. And the other one, where he goes out and he sprinkles the dam, that'll accomplish the other tumas mikdash for Kodesh for the Kohanim, i.e. the case of concealment and then awareness, and therefore you really only have two things it's accomplishing, which works out perfectly with the idea of Rabbi Yehuda. Hadrin alach Shavua Shtayim. I don't know, again, you guys have been doing all the daf from the beginning. You could take a vote. Was this the hardest parak so far or no? This was the hardest parak so far? Okay, Erevin maybe. Maybe Erevin. But, okay, you took a vote.
What's coming up now?
What's coming up? One more hard parak. Zak the Gemara. Yedios hatuma. Two words you were hoping not to see in the beginning of the parak. Yedios hatuma, shtayim shehein arba. The yedios hatuma are two, which is four. What are the two which is four? So don't question. The Gemara is going to question in just a second. Well, for a second, you'll see. The Gemara is going to question that it's about to list six. What did we say in the Mishnah? Yedias Atuma 2, that's 4. We said that it brings two cases. That what? You could either know that you're Tameh, right? You always have to have an awareness in the beginning. You forget that you're Tameh, and then you go into the Mikdash knowing it's the Mikdash. You forget that you're Tameh, and you eat Kodesh without knowing that you're Tameh. So those are the two cases. That's the Shtayim. Shehein Arba are the cases where you know you're Tameh, but you forget that this is Mikdash, or you know you're Tameh and you forget that this is Kodesh. So now it's going to give those 4, and it's going to give an additional 2. Nidma v'yadav v'nelma mimenu atuma v'zacharas HaKodesh. If you forgot that you're Tameh and you ate Kodesh, nel mimenu HaKodesh v'zacharas atuma, or you know that you're Tameh, but you forgot that this is Kodesh, or the third case, which is not included in the 2, which is 4, because it's obvious, but the Mishnah says it anyway, nel mimenu zev v'zev v'yachalas HaKodesh v'lo yada, or you forget that you're Tameh and you forget that this is Kodesh, umisha achal yada, then you find out, hareze ba'ola v'yored. So those are the 2. Those are the 2 with Kodesh. You forget that you're Tameh, you forget that this is Kodesh. What's Shehein Arba? Nitma v'yada v'nama menu tuma v'zacharas ha-mikdash. You forget that you're Tameh and you go into the Mikdash. Neli menu mikdash v'zacharas ha-tuma. You remember that you're Tameh, but you forget that this is the Mikdash. Or Neli menu zev v'zev v'nichnas ha-mikdash v'lo yada mishayatzi yada hareze ba'ola v'yored. Or you forget both that you're Tameh and that this is the Mikdash. Again, that one is not included in the 4 because that's obvious, but it lists it anyway. Those 4 cases of Shtayim Shein Arba are going to be cases of Ola V'Yori. That's a Chazara from Beis Amud Aleph. Echad hanichnas la'azara. Ve'echad hanichnas la'tosefes hazara. This is something separate. We said, when we're talking about the whole time of going into the Mikdash, what does that include? So going into the Mikdash seems to include going into the Azara. Doesn't sound like it includes, from this Mishnah, it doesn't include going into the Ezras Nashim. If you go into Ezras Nashim, that would not be a problem. The Azara is the first place where you have Kodesh. So now, if they want to go ahead and extend the Azara, let's say Beis wants to extend the Azara, they need more room. So now that's called Tosefes Azara. So if you go into the Tosefes Azara, you're going to be chayev if you're Tameh as well. She'ein mosifin aliyah. So it says parenthetically, you can't add to Yerushalayim v'al Azara. So you can't add to the Azara ela b'melech. You need the consent of the king, v'navi, v'urim v'tumim, v'sanhedrin shel shivim v'echad. So you need the consent of 4 parties in order to go ahead and add to the Azara. Uv'shtei todos uv'shirim. What do? You bring 2 korban todos, so you bring 2 lachmei todas, and you have shir. And what's the process followed? So the melech, the navi, and the urim v'tumim are not involved in the process. They just have to give their consent. But once you have the consent to expand the Azara, or to expand Yerushalayim, what do? Beis din mahalchin, the Sanhedrin walks, ushtei todos acharein, and the 2 lachmei toda go behind them, v'chol Yisrael acharein. What do? And they basically circle the perimeter of where they want to add. So if the Azar is here, then you do this whole ritual where you have the Sanhedrin and the 2 lachmei toda and the Jewish people behind them, and they will literally walk around where they want to make the extension of the Azara. That'll make it holy. Or they walk around outside Yerushalayim where they want to add to Yerushalayim. And then, Lamaisa, then and only then, after doing this whole thing, you can go ahead and you can add the Kedusha, or the Kedusha gets added to the Azara or to Yerushalayim. Zog the Gemara, Hapnimis necheles v'achitzona nisrefes. The Gemara is going to explain what this means. The inner one, seemingly the inner of the 2 lachmei toda, will be eaten, and the outer one, which is used in this whole process, will be burnt. V'chol shelo nases v'cholelu hanichnas hasham ein chayav aleh. And if you go ahead and you try to extend the Kedusha of Yerushalayim or the Kedusha of the Azara, and you don't do this ceremony, then Lamaisa, it's basically worthless, and then if a Tameh person goes there, or if a person eats Meister Sheni there, it will not be a problem because it's as if you did nada. Nidma Bazara. Now we have another case. Now we have a case, we've been talking the whole time about being Tameh and then going into the Mikdash. Let's say you actually become Tameh in the Mikdash. Let's say, again, I don't know if it's a Tumas Keri where you have an emission, I don't know if that would include or that would be included, but somebody dies. Somebody dies in the Mikdash and you're right next to them and you touch them. So now you become Tameh in the Azara. So what happens? So we know if you're Tameh and then you forget and then you go into the Mikdash and you come out and you have to bring Korban Olav Yored. If you go in and be mazed, you have to get kares. What happens, Lamaisa, if you're in the Mikdash and somebody dies? So obviously what do you have to do? As we'll see in a second, you got to get out as quickly as possible. As long as you get out as quickly as possible, you're okay. If you do anything that you don't get out as quickly as possible, then we're going to start holding you accountable. Nidmu ba'azara v'nelma mimenu tuma. So you became tummy in the azara, and you should have gotten out as soon as possible. Then you forget that you're tummy, tuma. Mimenu tuma v'zachor. As a mikdash, you know you're in the mikdash, but you forgot that you're tamei. You should have gotten out right away. Just like in the case when you're outside of the mikdash, you should have realized that you're tamei. Or ne'lam mimenu mikdash v'zachor tuma.
Or do you have an obligation to deal with the person who's there?
Again, I'm just giving an example of a person who's dead. But whatever it is, or it's a sheret, so there's a dead animal, let's say. You're right. There could be exceptions. But now, or you know you became tamei, then you forget that you're tamei, and now you remember you're tamei, but you forget that you're in the mikdash. Where am I? Now, what's the amount of time? If you then bow, or you stay the amount of time it takes to bow, or you take the long way out, chayav. Then you're going to be chayav, A, b'mezid if you do it on purpose, and B, if you forget after becoming tamei, you forget if it's the Beis HaMikdash, or you forget that you're tamei, then you're going to be chayav the korban olav yored. Biksara pater. But if you go ahead and you find out you're tamei in the azara, you become tamei in the azara, and you get out of there as quickly as possible, you take the shortest route out, then you're going to be pater from kares, and if you forget, then you'll be pater from korban olav yored. Zohi mitzvahs aseish mikdash ein chayav naleh. Now this line is very cryptic, and we're going to get to it. But just in general, what it means is that this is a mitzvah that's saying in the mikdash that you're not going to be chayav aleha from the Sanhedrin's perspective. We know that there's something called the par helim davar shel tzibor. If the Sanhedrin comes along and makes a ruling, and then most of the Jewish people follow this ruling, and it's a wrong ruling, and it was a chiyuv kares, then they're going to have to bring a special korban on behalf of the Sanhedrin. It's going to be a public korban. So again, I think this discussion is more philosophical to teach us a lesson than practical. But if the korban, if the Sanhedrin comes out and says that you are allowed to stay in the mikdash after you become tamei, and you can bow there and you can take the long route out, and then most of the Jewish people, again, practically probably not going to happen, but then most of the Jewish people go ahead. It's much more common that they'll say that this is not avodah zarah, and then everybody will serve it. That's much more common. But if you say that you're allowed to stay in the mikdash as long as you want after becoming tamei, and most of the Jewish people follow that, and it's a mistake, there still will not be chayav aleha korban par halim davar shel tzibor there. And again, I think it's more of a philosophical question, and we'll have to discuss why exactly that is. But I'm assuming that we'll learn something about the par halim davar shel tzibor, and this is their way of teaching it. However, there is an example by Hilchos Nida, where if they come out with a proclamation and it's wrong, and most of the people follow it, which again practically won't happen, but philosophically will teach us something, and most of the people follow it, in that case, they will be chayiv the par halim davar shel tzibor. What's the example? Somebody's having relations with their wife, and she says, I just got my period, I'm tamei. Upiresh miyad chayiv b'nei sheitziyasu anasalo kibiyasa. The halach is that if you're having relations and your wife becomes benida, you're actually not supposed to end the relations. You're supposed to wait inside until you actually lose your erection. Then and only then can you withdraw, because since the withdrawal is considered to be a hana as well, you're not supposed to get hana. So if the Sanhedrin would come along, again, practically probably not going to happen, but if the Sanhedrin would come along and put out a public proclamation in the newspaper one day that says, anyone who has relations with their wife, and Lamaisa she becomes benida in the middle, should not withdraw, or is allowed to withdraw, and most of the tzibor follows this proclamation and it's wrong, in that case they will bring a par halim davar shel tzibor. Again, not going to happen, but clearly, philosophically, we're going to be learning something that there's a difference between the case of the mikdash and the case of the nida, why in one case they should not have to bring a par halim davar shel tzibor, in the case of the mikdash, and in the other case of nida, they will bring. But it's an interesting halacha in general. It's halacha, it seems to be halacha lamaisa as well, that again, in the case where unfortunately somebody becomes benida in the middle of relations, one should not withdraw, one should wait until, as Rashi says, until their aver becomes softened, and then and only then, this way they will not be chayav for kares. Zok the Gemara, Rabbi Eliezer Omer. Now we're going back, and if you remember all the way back when, on Gimel Amud Aleph, we had a machlokes, and we said that the Mishnah cannot be Rabbi Akiva and cannot be Rabbi Yishmael. We said, Rabbi Yishmael, he says, you're not chayav except on the asilavo. And it can't be Rabbi Akiva because it says you're only chayav al halim tuma and not al halim mikdash, if you remember that. And therefore, the Shtayim Shein Arba cannot be Rabbi Akiva. Comes along the Gemara, and Rabbi Eliezer is going to agree with Rabbi Akiva. We're going to quote Rabbi Akiva again here. That means we just said in our Mishnah on Yud Dalet Amud Aleph, that's Shtayim Shein Arba. There's 4 cases. If you forget that it's Mikdash and you know that you're Tameh, if you forget that it's kosher, you know it's Tameh, that's included as well. That's not the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, because they'll say Shtayim Shein Shtayim. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, HaSheretz V'nei Lamimenu. If you touch a sheretz or you touch any other thing of Tumah, and then you go into the Mikdash, Al Halim Sheretz Chayev Ve'eno Chayev Al Halim Mikdash. You're only Chayev if you forget that you're Tameh. You're not Chayev if you forget that this is the Mikdash. Therefore, what do you see over here? That they hold that forgetting that it's the Mikdash, you're going to take away the Mikdash, you're going to take away seemingly Kodesh as well, but definitely the Mikdash. So if anything, it's Shtayim Shein Shtayim. Rabbi Akiva says the same thing. Omer, V'nei Menu V'utameh Al Helam Tumah Chayev Ve'eno Chayev Al Halim Mikdash. We saw this already. Rabbi Shmuel comes along to defend the Tanna Kamma and says, no, it says V'nei twice, Shtei Pa'amim, L'Chayev Al Halim Tumah V'al Halim Mikdash. He agrees with the Tanna Kamma, both on Beis Amud Aleph and in our Mishnah, that you're going to be chayiv. So that's the machlokes. Is it Shtayim Shein Arba, Shtayim Shein Shtayim? Okay, let's go. Amar Rav Papa Labai, Shtayim Shein Arba, 2 which is 4. The question is, it's not really 2 which is 4. Shtayim Shein Sheish Havi. Now again, it's not including the extra ones that I quoted in the Mishnah. But he says, how could you say 2 which is 4? There's really 6 cases. What are the 6 cases? Says the Gemara, Yedios HaTumah Tchila Vasof, Yedios HaKodesh Tchila Vasof, Yedios Mikdash Tchila Vasof. That means you're taking it for granted that you're saying that there are 4 cases. You forget that you're Tameh and you go into the Mikdash. You forget that you're Tameh and you go eat Kodesh. You know you're Tameh and you forget that it's a Mikdash. You know you're Tameh and you forget it's Kodesh. That's very nice, but it's actually 6 cases. Not the way you're learning it. The 6 cases are that there are really 3 aspects going on over here. There's knowing or not knowing that you're Tameh. There's knowing and not knowing that there's a Mikdash, or not knowing and knowing that it's Kodesh. Now, you're forgetting, says the Gemara, says Rav Papa, you're forgetting that an essential aspect of this Korban, again, Shtayim Shein Arba means there are going to be 4 that you're going to be Chayiv the Korban. He's trying to say there's really 6 cases where you're going to be Chayiv a Korban. It means you have to have what? It either needs to be a case where you have awareness in the beginning, awareness at the end. Awareness in the beginning, awareness at the end. Awareness in the beginning, awareness at the end. So there's really 6 aspects that you need where you're going to have a korban. Because again, if you have concealment in the beginning and then you have awareness at the end, you're not going to bring a korban olah v'yored. If you have awareness in the beginning and concealment at the end, there's no korban olah v'yored. So he's saying there's basically 6 aspects needed in order to have a korban olah v'yored. You need awareness of tumah by Mikdash / Kodesh, which he's counting as 1 in the beginning. Awareness of Tumah by Mikdash / Kodesh at the end. The Gemara is going to question in just a second and say, so it's really 8. Because it's awareness of Tumah by Mikdash, awareness of Tumah by Kodesh, awareness of Mikdash. Right now, the Gemara is assuming awareness of Mikdash in the beginning, awareness of Mikdash at the end. Awareness of Tumah by Kodesh in the beginning, awareness of Tumah by the end. Awareness of Kodesh in the beginning, awareness of Kodesh at the end. Those are the 6 cases. Says the Gemara, Uletamecha timne havyan, daika tuma de kodesh v'tuma de mikdash tchila vasof. But you really have 8 cases. Again, everybody understand what I'm saying over here with the 8 cases? The 8 cases are as follows. We just said that there's 4 cases. The 4 cases are, you know you're Tameh, and you forget that this is Kodesh. You know you're Tameh, and you forget that this is Mikdash. You don't know you're Tameh, but you forget that this is Kodesh. You don't know you're Tameh, but you know that this is Mikdash. Those are really 8 cases, he says, because each case, you need 2 aspects in order to bring a korban. In each case, you need to have awareness in the beginning. In the case where you forget that you're Tameh, you needed to know that you were Tameh originally and know that you're Tameh at the end. In the case where you didn't know this was Kodesh, you needed to know that this was Kodesh in the beginning and know that this is Kodesh at the end. You need to know this is Mikdash in the beginning, you need to know this is Mikdash at the end, etc., etc. So it's really 8 cases. Says the Gemara, Halokashya, Shem Tuma Achasi. It's Shem Tuma is only 1. Tumah is Tumah, and therefore the Tumah of Mikdash and Kodesh is the same. So you have Tumah of Mikdash and Kodesh in the beginning, Tumah of Mikdash and Kodesh at the end, and then Kodesh in the beginning, Kodesh in the end, Mikdash in the beginning, Mikdash in the end. Says the Gemara, you still have 6. Mikol Makom Shis Havyan. So Rav Papa comes along and says, you're right. You're right. Those are not the 6 clearly, or those are not the 4 the Mishnah is talking about. What are the Shtayim Shein Arba that the Mishnah is talking about? Amar Rav Papa, we're going to have a machlokes. La'olam Timya Havyan. It's really 8. Arba Kamaisa Delo Maisin Le Lide Korban. Lo kachashiv, arba basraisa demaisi leili de korban kachashiv. Gemara is saying, Rav Papa says you're right. There's really 8 situations because you have to have the awareness in the beginning and the end. But at the end of the day, which one brings you to bring the korban? Once you have the awareness at the end. So those 4 cases of awareness at the end that you were tameh and you went into the mikdash, awareness at the end that you were tameh and you went into the kodesh. and you ate Kodesh. Awareness at the end, you knew you were Tameh, but awareness at the end that this was Mikdash. Awareness at the end that this is Kodesh. Those are the 4 cases which it's including at Shtayim Shein Arba. But you're right, it's really, you need Shtayim Shein Shmona. You really need 8. And it says, V'ika de Amrei, Amar Rav Papa, La'olam Tivnei Havi. And again, it's really 8. Ve'arbe kamaisa delesnu b'chol Torah kula kachashiv. Arba basraisa disnu b'chol Torah kula lo kachashiv. He says the opposite. He says, I agree with you that it's 8. But at the end of the day, the 4 that it includes, again, the Chiddush of the Mishnah, it's really Shtayim Shein Shmona, I agree. But when it says Shtayim Shein Arba, it's because it's only teaching you the Chiddush. What's the Chiddush here? The Chiddush is that in Kol HaTorah Kula, if you forget that it's Shabbos, and you don't know that turning on the light is a problem on Shabbos, you don't know anything, and you walk into your room and you turn on the light on Shabbos, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I just turned on the light on Shabbos, are you chayav v'chatas? Yes. Even though you had no awareness in the beginning that it's Shabbos. Even though you had no awareness in the beginning that it's usher to turn on the light on Shabbos. By Kol HaTorah Kula, except for Mikdash and Kodesh, you do not need that awareness in the beginning. That awareness in the beginning is a special din by Mikdash v'Kodesh. Therefore, when it says Shtayim Shein Arba, it's talking about Shtayim Shein Arba. It's talking about the 4 aspects in which this case is different than the rest of the Torah. The 4 ways that this is different than the rest of the Torah is that in this case, you need to have one of 4 awarenesses in the beginning. Either you need to know that this is Tameh, in the case of Kodesh. You need to know that you're Tameh, in the case of Kodesh. You need to know that you're Tameh in the case of Mikdash. Or you need to know that this is Kodesh, when you don't know that you're Tameh. Or you need to know that this is Mikdash. One of those 4 things you need to know. Therefore, the Shtayim Shein Arba, yes, it's really Shtayim Shein Shmona. But it mentions only the 4 cases that are a Chiddush. And again, therefore, before we move on, just to review, there really are plenty of cases when it comes to, there's much more than Shtayim Shein Arba. There's really 8 cases when it comes to this Mishnah that we're talking about both here and the beginning of the first parak. That means that in order to bring a Korban Olev Yored, as we've said many times, you need awareness in the beginning, and awareness at the end, and concealment in the middle. And you take the 4 cases of Tumah, Mikdash, and Kodesh, and you do all of the different things, you're going to end up with 8 cases. Tumah in the beginning in the case of Kodesh, Tumah at the end in the case of Kodesh. Tumah in the beginning of a case of Mikdash, Tumah at the end of a case of Mikdash. Where you know you're Tameh, or where you don't know you're Tameh the entire time, but you know this is Mikdash and you forget it's Mikdash, again, those are the 8 cases. Zak the Gemara. Bari Rav Papa. Now we're going to ask 2 other cases where the Gemara is going to say Teiku to. Sorry to give it away. The Gemara is going to say Teiku, I don't know the answer. Bari Rav Papa. Nelmu mimenu halachos tumamahu. We said you need an awareness in the beginning and an awareness at the end. Now if you remember, we said way back when that according to some, an awareness means that at this point, just using the case of Tumah as an example, at this case I know that I'm Tameh and I forget that I'm Tameh. That's an awareness. According to others, we said you don't even have to know at this point that you're Tameh. It could have been that you learned in school that when you touch a sheretz you become Tameh, and you touch the sheretz, but you didn't make the connection that at this point you forgot, you didn't make the connection that by touching the sheretz you became Tameh. According to many people, according to many opinions, since you learned that in school, you're going to be chayav for that also. So it says the Gemara, Rav Papa, Nelmu mimenu hilchos tumah mahu. If you forget the halachas of tumah, what's the case? Hey Chidami, what's the case? What's the case? If you say that I touch this sheretz, there's 8 shratzim which make you Tameh. I touch this sheretz, and I'm just not sure if this is one of the 8 that make me Tameh or not. It might be a frog. It happens to be that a frog, if I touch a frog that's dead, I don't become Tameh, a Tumah sheretz. If I touch another 8, a few other things that are similar, as Rashi says, it's Sav and the Halta, you do become Tameh. So I touch this thing, I know that I touched something, but I don't know whether it's a frog or not. That can't be the case. Zil Kari Beirafu. You learned in 2nd grade what are the 8 are that you're chayav for. You should know what the 8 are that you're chayav for. You can't say I didn't know. Therefore, if you touch this and you go into the mikdash, for sure you're going to be tameh and you're going to be chayav. La'olam diyada b'tumah sheretz. You know that this is a sheretz, and you know that you touch this. So if you know there's a sheretz and you know that you touch this, and then you forget, so what's the question? It's obvious that you're going to be chayav a korban olav yored. What's the shaila here? Kigon dinaga b'kadasha. You touch this, but it wasn't a full sheretz, it was the size of a lentil. V'lo yada ke'adasha yimitame ilo mitame. And you didn't realize that an adasha will go ahead and make you tameh. We don't expect you to have learned in 2nd grade the size of the sheretz. What the sheretzes are in 2nd grade, I understand you should have learned. But the size of the sheretz that makes you tameh, which happens to be an adasha, which is a lentil, as opposed to a kazayis, which is bigger, which is an olive, that you didn't necessarily know. So you touch this thing, and now you're not sure whether you're going to be tameh or not, because you're not sure whether you become tameh. You know it's a lentil, and you know it's a sheretz, but you don't know if it's if it's going to be mitame with an adash or not. My kevan diyada de mitame sheretz be'olam yidiyahi. Since you know that this sheretz in general goes ahead and is mitame you, then when you forget that you were tame with that sheretz, consider that you had a yidiyah in there, for you bring a korban olav yored. Or dilma kevan de kadash lo yadi mitame lo mitame halamahi. Or you'll say that since you don't know whether an adasha, whether a lentil size is going to make you tame, it's as if you never knew that you were tame. Take you, says the Gemara. In that case, you're right. If you don't know, if it's not a matter of size, it's a matter of is this a sheretz or not, you should have known that. For sure you're going to be chayav. But if you don't know, and there was no way to know whether it's an adash or not, it's not something we expect you to have learned in school, in that case, take you, we're not sure whether you're going to have to bring a korban or not.
If it's pakov adasha, it's a barrier, doesn't it still count or no?
If it's pachos me'an adasha and it's a beria, will it be mitame? I'm not sure. I know that that's by eating. I'm not sure if that would be by touching as well. I'm not sure. Zok Gemara, Bari Rabbi Yirmiyah, another question. And again, the answer will be Teku. Ben Bavel, you have a guy from Toronto, Sha'ol Eretz Yisrael, he goes to Israel, he's never been there before. V'nela mimenu makom mikdash. And now he doesn't know what that wall is. That wall is just a wall. It's not the kotel. He has no idea where he is. Mahu. Aliba Deman. So now he goes into the mikdash, he goes to the kotel, and he has no idea that he's davening at the kotel. He has no idea what all these people are doing shuckling here. So what happens over here? Now he forgets that he was by the mikdash. He knows that he's tameh. Is he going to go ahead and have to bring a korban? Says Gemara, what's the question? Aliba Deman. Aliba de Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Akiva, like we said, by Yediyah Betchila, you need to have awareness in the beginning. Halo mechayev al hale mikdash. He doesn't hold you responsible if you forget that this is a mikdash, or even if you forget that this is a mikdash, you never knew that this was a mikdash. Even if you knew that this was a mikdash, you wouldn't be chayev a korban, because al hale mikdash, you never chayev. So it's not a question according to him. For sure, you don't have to bring a korban. Aliba de Rabbi Yishmael de mechayev al hale mikdash. Halo ba Yediyah Betchila. According to Rabbi Yishmael, who says that you are chayev for mikdash, you don't even need a Yediyah in the beginning. So for sure, according to him, you didn't have the Yediyah. Who cares? You're still chayev. So for sure, you have to bring a korban. So lo tzricha, rather aliba de Rabbi, like we said, our Mishnah is deba yediyah batchila. You need to have an awareness in the beginning. Umechayiv al hale mikdash, and you're chayiv if you forget that it's a mikdash. Ve'amar yediyah space rabba shma yediyah, and he said he should have been paying attention in school and you should have learned some of this stuff. So in this case, what's the halacha where the guy has no idea that he's in the mikdash, and then he realizes that he's tamei and he forgets that he's tamei, but he had no idea that he was ever in the mikdash? Says the Gemara, kevan diyada dika mikdash ba'olam yediyahi. Is the fact that he knows that there's such a thing in Israel as called a Makom Mikdash, that's enough to say that he knew about the Mikdash. Now when he forgets, he knew about it and he forgot, so now he could be chayiv a korban olav yored. Or since he never knew where the Makom Mikdash was, we assume that he never had an awareness of the Makom Mikdash, and therefore we don't hold him responsible, and therefore when he forgets that it's the Makom Mikdash, we're not going to hold him responsible. Teku, tishbi yitaret kushot zubayos. What do we do when we say teku in a case like this? Does he bring a korban or does he not bring a korban? So obviously, if we have a suffix, he's not going to bring a korban. We're not going to bring a korban al suffix. Just like we say suffix brachos lahakel, we'll say suffix korbanos lahakel. And in these cases where, again, he's never been to Israel before, or he wasn't sure what the halacha is, whether the size of a kadasha is going to go ahead and be metame him or not, in these cases, lamaisa, we're going to assume that when he forgets and he becomes tummy and he goes into the mikdash, eats kodesh, etc., he will not be mechayev a korban olav yored, and therefore tishbi yitaret kusha tabayos. Eventually, we'll find out, but right now, he will not bring a korban olav yored in these cases.